What's going on, people? How is everybody doing today? Much love I'm sending here. Just having a wonderful morning. It's still dark here, but we're having a good time either way. So I just wanted to touch on something I found out recently, that I thought maybe might help some people, and maybe not. It all depends on whether or not you want to believe it or not. It's totally up to you. But I've learned something very fascinating recently about basically the world and how it's a mirror. And we don't realize it's a mirror because we don't understand how the law of the universe works, how the law of assumption works, how the power of awareness works. So let's say, hypothetically, you're depressed right now. Do you know why you're depressed? Because you created it. You created this mental depression in your mind because where this is a simulation. Now, whether or not you want to believe this is all a simulation. None of this is real. It's all imaginary. Because we create our realities. And the reality you created, if you're depressed, I don't know if you are, if you're not, then maybe you're something else. Because you're a different character. You're a different character in your own play. You're a different character in your own story. We watch these movies, but yet we don't realize that our life is a movie. Everything in our life we create. Our illness, we can create our illness because our body is a living organism. So if we're telling our body and we're insulting our body all the time, then of course our body's going to reject us and it's going to think that we're sick. But if you tell yourself, I love you, body, you're so wonderful, body, I'm grateful for your body's going to heal because your cells rejuvenate every 9 months. Every 9 months, your cells rejuvenate. Even like working out, for instance, you're working out at a gym and you want to lift that heavy weight. If you tell yourself over and over again, I'm going to lift 500 pounds, I'm going to lift 500 pounds, you're going to program that in your mind that you're going to lift 500 pounds because our mind is understanding that you're pushing it out. So it's like a mirror. So the world is like a mirror. So everything we do, whether it be good or bad, if we throw it back, if we throw it out there, it comes right back to us. But we don't realize this is happening until you read the book Transurfing Your Reality. And then I was listening to a guy that does a podcast. He wrote the book Buy Back Your Time, and he was saying to study books. So that's what I did. I started to study this book and I started to take notes and started to understand. And then this morning, out of nowhere, I got this thought planted in my head and I can't get it out. And then I had another guy on my show. This is another thing that's neat. Like, you want to talk about like downloads and everything that we take for granted. Like, our mind is always trying to communicate with us. There is constant information going on in our brains, and it's how we decide to do with that information, whether it be good, whether it be bad. But if you throw it out there and say you want like $1 million, you have to say you want $1 million, but you also have to detach from it. You have to remind yourself and then detach from it. Remind yourself and then detach from it. By doing this, you're creating the idea in your mind you're going to have $1 million. Well, that's the same thing with depression. If you tell yourself you're depressed, you're going to be depressed. And then you're going to lock yourself in that emotion or idea and that state of consciousness. And that's where the mental prison comes in and locks you in there. And then you're stuck in depression. But you can get yourself out of depression when you realize that it's not real. You created it. None of it's real. It's all fake. Everything is imaginary. We don't understand it because we don't realize how truly powerful and limitless we are. How even our words can affect people. Words can just be like triggers, but they're not actually triggers. They're signals sending messages to our mind, creating the idea that they're triggers, but they're not actually triggers. They're part of our reality we created. Because we created that reality, now we think that's a trigger. But it's actually not a trigger because what the person is actually saying is not triggering you. You were already triggered before that word came out. It's just like addiction. Everything is like create it because we create it. None of it is real. We create everything. We don't realize it because we don't understand it. But when you understand how your mind truly works and how it can lock us into mental prisons, and then we're stuck and we think we are anxious, we think we're depressed, we think we're fear, we think we're hurt, we think we're sick. None of it is real. We're creating all of it. It's like if you go to a doctor and a doctor, no disrespect to doctors. I think doctors are wonderful people. Don't take any disrespect towards us. But if a doctor tells you you're not going to live in 6 months, chances are you're not going to live in 6 months because that idea has been planted in your head, and then you're going home to your mirror that you can't see, and you're basically getting in your head and telling yourself you're going to die. Guess what? You're going to die. Because your body listens to you, because your body is a living organism. Everything you got to be mindful of. When you work out, when you eat, everything you have to keep mindfulness. Keep your mind understanding. Study more about yourself. Learn about yourself. Learn what bothers you. Why is it bothering you? Because you created it. You can also uncreate it. You can tell yourself, you can look in the mirror and be like, I'm not going to be sick. I'm not going to be sick. I'm not going to be sick. And guess what? You're not going to be sick. I'm healthy. I'm strong. I'm beautiful. Guess what? You're healthy. You're strong. You're beautiful. You got to remind yourself. You got to project yourself. Project yourself how you want to be seen. Project yourself how you are. Mentally, spiritually, financially. You can create all of it. You can also uncreate all of it if you really want to. People can get themselves out of prison if they wanted to. If they understood this. But they're trapped inside their minds. It's like Eckhart Tolle was talking about, getting into the power of now. Well, the power of now is being in the present moment. Because future, past, don't exist. We create them. We create everything. Because we are creators of our own reality. Illness. Illness is it's fake. It's not real. It's a creation. It's a creation of an idea. You watch the news even. You're watching the news. You're going into that reality. This is why wars happen. This is why famine happens. This is why poverty exists. It's all reality-based. Simulation, simulized. Because every single person is in a different reality. Nobody's in the same reality. If we were all in the same reality, we would all be perfect. And then we would figure out this game called life. But to understand it, you have to think outside the box, like I always say. But you also have to read books and study them at the same time. And study books that are actually meaningful. You're reading a fiction story? Why are you reading a fiction story? You're already in a fiction story. Your life is fiction. None of it's real. You create it. People want these models for women. You can get anything you want. It's literally that easy. If you want to take care of your family, or if you're sick right now, you won't be sick anymore if you tell yourself you're not sick. If you look in the mirror day in, day out, you tell yourself, I'm not going to be sick, but you don't focus on it. You just speak it and then detach from it. Guess what? You're going to heal. Because that's how it works. We don't realize that because we're caught up in other realities. I don't know, it's a lot. I know this is a lot to process, but take your time with it. You literally have the keys to the kingdom of heaven and you don't realize it. Once you figure this out, opportunities are endless. This is why football players exist. This is why cops exist. This is why ambulance drivers exist, because they created all these characters. It's something they wanted to be when they grow up. They wanted to be this. They wanted to be, they can be. You can be anything you want. That's what I'm saying. You don't have to work. If you want to work a 9-to-5 job, go work a 9-to-5 job. That's fine. Do it. If that brings you joy, if it brings you happy, do it. But here's another thing too. If you want to move up in the company you work for, then change your mindset. Change the person you are. Look in that mirror every day and tell yourself you're going to be a CEO. Guess what? You're going to be a CEO. You just have to believe it. It's literally all about belief and trusting in the process and being aware of the power of awareness, being aware of the law of assumption, the law of the universe even. So like when people do bad things, and this is why karma exists. So this is why when you do something like say poor to someone, of course it's going to come back to you. Maybe not right away, but eventually it will come back to you, because this is how the law of the universe works. If you're going to do anything that's karmatic, yes, it's going to come back to you, but it also can be good karma too for doing something polite for someone. This is why wealthy people do nice things for people, because yeah, they've done some heinous things, but they're trying to pay back for what they've done. So even like you think like wealthy people, like they're happy, they're not, because if they need that much money to like live and survive, then there obviously is a void that they created. And no amount of money is going to make them happy. So they can have billions of dollars and they're still not going to be happy, because they're still not fixing their problem that they created, their idea that they created, the state of consciousness they put themselves in. But they don't understand that, because they're a part of the game too. They're just as lost as you are. So when you think like someone is different from you, yeah, they have differences. But energetically, we are all connected. And energetically, when we're around one another, we can affect each other too, because we send signals to each other and we don't even realize we're doing it, because we already created that reality. And because we already created that reality, when we're around the people, so we attract to those people. So if people are like, say, toxic, yeah, of course they're toxic, because we were toxic. So people around us are going to be toxic too, because our reality is created, so therefore they come into our reality. Okay, well, we created this person too. We created their toxicity because we already had our toxicity, because we're all energetically connected. So if we're all energetically connected and our emotions are creations of our reality, and there's something toxic in us, so of course there's going to be something toxic in someone else. And this is how energies work, and how like you have to like almost be aware of your energies, even be aware of your words. But it's until you understand this, you're going to be stuck. But I have news for you. You can uncreate this being stuck. You can uncreate anything. You just have to believe in it. You have to trust in it. Trust in the process. Trust in yourself. If you want to be a writer, be a writer. Tell yourself, I'm going to be a writer. I'm going to be a writer. Keep telling yourself that day in, day out. But don't focus on it. Focus and then detach from it. That's all you got to do. You want to get strong? Get strong. You want to get healthy? Get healthy. You can do anything you want. You're a limitless being. You have endless possibilities. You just don't realize it because you don't see it. Because you're living in your reality that you created when you were born, and you were around all these other people and you got all these ideas. Parents, from your friends, from your teachers, from your coaches, from everyone. But you didn't get, and so you created it and you built it. Well, you can also uncreate it. So whatever environments you were in, if you were in like poverty-stricken environment, you can get out of poverty. If you were into drugs and alcohol, you can get out of drugs and alcohol, because it doesn't exist. Addiction doesn't exist either. That's another creation of your reality. None of it's real. You can uncreate it. You can uncreate anything. I'm telling you, you can. This is truly how it works. You just have to understand how the mind works. Once you figure out how your mind works, when you're around others, it's not going to bother you anymore, because what they are throwing out towards you is reflecting back onto them. So when a person is actually saying hurtful things to you, they're really saying hurtful things to themselves. And the reason it affects us is because we said hurtful things to ourselves. This is how, when you love yourself unconditionally, then there's no way you can think that way about others, because we have to love ourselves first before we can love anyone else. And if you can't love yourself first, then you're going to have problems. You're going to have struggles. You have to let go of whatever reality you've created, uncreate it, be the person. If you're insecure about your weight, tell yourself you're going to be skinny. If you're sick, tell yourself you're going to be healthy. Reverse it. Reverse everything you do. Just do it. Try it. You don't have to believe me. But is it better than being stuck, or being unhealthy, or being depressed, or being anxious, or living in fear even, or being divided? Is it really worth it? No. In the end, it's not worth it. But that's up to you. That's why they call it free will, right? That's your decision. That's your choice. But I'm telling you right now, you're going to be a lot better off if you change who you are for the better. And you'll see it. You'll see it in yourself. And when you see it in yourself, you'll start to see it in others. Because you realize that people that are hurting around you, they're only hurting themselves. Just like we hurt ourselves. I hurt myself. I created my fear. I created my anxiety. I created everything. I did. Nobody else did it. I can say I had bullies. No. I made the bullies appear. I made myself fail in school. I did, because I looked in the mirror and I told the mirror that I was a failure, that I was not going to succeed, that I wasn't going to achieve. And it projected right back to me. And then it created that. And then it created through my body. And then my body had all sorts of interesting health problems. And then I started to understand just this morning that everything that I went through in my past wasn't real. I created it. I created that version of myself. I created my addictions. I created it all. That's really it. We are creators of our own reality. And I know, it's a lot to digest, but try it. If you don't believe me, try it. Just try it. Go in the mirror right now. Tell yourself you love yourself unconditionally. Do that 3 times a day. Believe it, see it, visualize it, and tell me if it doesn't come true. Send me a comment, because nobody's commenting on any of my videos. I see they're getting views. Some of them are getting views. Maybe some of them are bad. Maybe some of them are good. I don't know. Nobody's commenting. Nobody's talking. We don't talk to each other anymore because we're afraid of each other. Let's get unafraid of each other, because what I said, we create our own reality, right? So you can uncreate fear. So uncreate it from your mind and stop this and understand that you can be anything you want. Have a wonderful day. I love each and every one of you. And just try this out and just be kind to yourself. And once you start being kind to yourself, it gets a lot easier. Much love to you all.